In the late 1960s, amid mounting frustration over racial inequity, segregation, and the failure of many civil rights gains to yield economic power, one man dared to dream bigger. Floyd B. McKissick, a prominent civil rights lawyer and leader of the Congress of Racial Equality, also known as CORE, envisioned a new kind of community, one planned from scratch, located in rural North Carolina, meant not to just house people, but to lift up Black economic life. That vision was called Soul City, and what followed was a mix of hope, political struggle, bold urban planning, and ultimately tragedy in what might have been. In today's video, we look into what happened to Soul City, North Carolina. Hi, my name is Jared and welcome to Black Excellence, where we celebrate all the ways Black people pursue excellence in their everyday lives. If you're searching for ways to fuel your own journey of excellence with content on where to live, where to travel, lifestyle trends, and unconventional ways to do it all, then hit that subscribe button and join the circle of excellence. McKissick's idea for Soul City was not to build a segregationist enclave, but a multiracial community directed by Black leadership, especially designed to reverse poverty, underinvestment, and outmigration. In 1969, he bought thousands of acres. Some sources say about 5,000 acres in Warren County. At the time, one of the poorest parts of North Carolina. The site he bought was on land that had formerly been slave plantations, so the symbolic stakes were extremely high. The plan was sweeping, with an aim to build infrastructure first, like roads, water treatment, sewer, but the first major facility built was actually a factory. For the residential development, 3 villages were planned. Projections varied but included estimates of 18,000 people by 1989. By 2004, hopeful estimates placed the population near 44,000 with 24,000 jobs in the area. The plan was to have residents, along with schools, healthcare, recreation, shopping, and any other essentials in one town, so that residents wouldn't have to travel far for work, medicine, or for culture. The project was open to all, but prioritized opportunities for poor people and especially African Americans for economic independence, business ownership, and a place where race would not automatically dictate your zip code or job. Soul City was founded through a mix of public and private sources. The Department of Housing and Urban Development guaranteed bonds, around $14 million. The state of North Carolina contributed, private donors came through, and banks like First Pennsylvania chipped in. McKissick's team consulted architects, universities, and various planners to build design templates. In its early years, Soul City saw real physical progress. Roads were laid, a water sewer system was built, a health clinic and daycare center appeared, so did houses, though not nearly enough, and the industrial facility Soul Tech 1 was completed in 1975. By 1977, even a man-made lake had been finished. The community had amenities like a regional water system, a fire station, a pool, and a recreational center. Some people even moved in, though the numbers were tiny compared to the ambition. At its peak, Soul City employed perhaps a few hundred. Some reports give it like 200 jobs in the industrial park, but that was far from the promised tens of thousands. The failure of Soul City to reach its projected scale was not because of any single misstep. It was the accumulation of many, some internal, many external. Warren County, where Soul City was built, was very rural, with weak existing infrastructure, a low tax base, limited local skilled labor, and no industrial base. This made attracting and retaining outside investment extremely difficult. Many industrial companies backed out once costs rose or uncertainty started to take hold. The national economy in the 1970s also worked against Soul City. Inflation, the oil crisis, stagflation, high interest rates, all worked against the cost of materials, construction, and borrowing. What was projected in 1969 as affordable infrastructure became much more expensive later. And though HUD guaranteed bonds, it imposed conditions. For example, some funds, especially early HUD payments, were restricted to infrastructure, not housing or commercial construction. This meant that even with cash in hand, certain critical parts of the plan, basically the homes, the shops, industry beyond one plant, could not proceed until further funding and approvals arrived. Industries were often reluctant to commit in early phases where there was very little evidence of market demand for supporting housing. Without industry, jobs lagged. Job lagging meant fewer residents, fewer buyers, fewer services. Basically a chicken and an egg problem. And then we haven't even talked about the racial aspect. Soul City actually existed in what some called Klan country. Racial tensions remained high. State Senator Jesse Helms, elected in 1972, repeatedly criticized the project, alleging mismanagement, calling it a boondoggle. Local newspapers like the Raleigh News and Observer also published stories questioning its progress, and even some false accusations of corruption. Audits eventually cleared the project for wrongdoing, but by then the reputation damage was done. The negative publicity scared off private investors and potential white buyers. For a planned town that was to depend partly on outside capital and multiracial participation, the chilling effect mattered. Not only that, but the federal government under subsequent administrations proved less willing to defend the project in the face of political pressure. HUD then withdrew its support in 1979 after about a decade of development, citing financial non-viability. McKissick's projects were ambitious. Tens of thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of residents, but many assumptions didn't materialize. Many prospective residents were reluctant to move to the rural Warren County without demonstrated schools, shops, and industry. Some companies had expressed interest, but when the final investment decision came, uncertainty about infrastructure, workforce, and returns caused them to pull back. Inflation, construction delays, and cost of materials undermined budget estimates. When metrics like the number of housing units, job numbers, and resident counts were compared to promises, the actual number was far, far smaller. Even though Soul City is often described as a failed utopia, it left behind tangible legacies and emotional echoes. Some of the infrastructure, like water systems, the lake, the recreation center, road network, and some public buildings still stand today. For Black economic empowerment, Soul City remains a beacon in memory. It showed that civil rights work needed not just legal equity, but spatial and economic design. Many hope that in today's era, the project could be revived or reimagined. McKissick and later even his son spoke of an economic development area, again in Warren County, being designed around the old Soul City site. But here are some lessons from Soul City. Rural development is expensive. Even if land is cheap, developing water, roads, sewer, utilities, skilled labor-based costs are more than many expect. Even well-intended projects become vulnerable without sustained political and media support. Negative press, even when false, political opposition, and shifting federal priorities can kill momentum. Soul City was born from belief. Floyd McKissick believed that civil rights were only the beginning. The economic power, land, industry, planning, and community were essential next steps. Yes, the project was audacious. Maybe too big, maybe too early, but it was real. It built roads, water systems, clinics, and even an industrial plant. Its failure was not from a lack of desire or vision, but a convergence of harsh politics, economic volatility, infrastructure realities, and racial dynamics that still shape America today. That said, the story of Soul City is not simply a cautionary tale. It's an inspiration for what's possible when people dare to plan with purpose. That's all I have for you today. We'll see you next time with another topic on Black living and trends.